This is Ian. I've been an independent publisher for more than 10 years, and I'm talking about book cover design and title choice and metadata choice if you are an independent publisher or a self-published author. And maybe there's some things that you can learn from these two books. I Love Yous Are for White People and 1,000 Layers of Water and Clouds. And both of these are excellent books. They're both about the Asian American immigrant experience. I loved reading them. But there are some things about the covers that I wanted to talk a little bit about, and also the titles. So, when I compare these two books, this one with this one, you'll see that there's a lot of kind of symbolic elements that are on the cover itself. For instance, here we see that this is clearly set in somewhere in a tropical place or Southern California or something like that. It's kind of like a retro look. There's a taped on photo of the author and sister when they were little, and then there is this title, and then it says a true story of heartbreak, culture clash, and survival on the streets of Los Angeles. And then for this particular book, 1,000 Layers of Water and Clouds, we see also some symbolic visual elements. This is the island of Taiwan, and the author is standing on the northern tip of it. There's kind of this sun or a moon and clouds there, and it's just it's very kind of visually captivating, but it's also symbolic in ways that will become apparent when you read the book itself. I mean, these are basically 1,000 layers of water and clouds. You can see the water here. This is the Taiwan Strait, Western Pacific Ocean, and then there's clouds up here. The author's name actually contains a character which means cloud, so that's another meaning there. But when in terms of how these books will perform on the bookshelf, or if there's on Amazon or on a website or something like that, I have a couple thoughts about that. So let's talk a bit about the design first, and then we'll talk about some of the other elements. So I'd say that this particular book, it's a little bit easier to see what the title is. 1,000 Layers of Water and Clouds. Even if you shrink it down, I think you'll like to thumbnail size, I think you'll still be able to see what this particular title says. But all this other information is just going to wash out. Like this little short blurb here, this is just going to disappear once it's shrunk. It's actually even hard to read now. And I'm guessing the publishing team, they wanted to include an endorsement on the front, so they just squeeze this thing in here. But the problem is when you have a lot of things to say, and there's not enough real estate to say it, the only way to do it is to either remove something else or to make the text small. So we see this here, which is almost unreadable at normal size. It will be impossible if it's shrunk down. And then back here, we have a longish description and a very long bio that are really too long. And I can see that the designer struggled to fit all this stuff in, but it's just too much text. And at some point, the editor or the publishing team has to say, look, we need a bio that's half as long as this. Can you condense it, either to the author or the marketing team? Same thing with the description here. This particular book, it's a little bit easier to see everything. There's less text there. The title is big. However, the gray text, the kind of the bluish text on a gray background, it's really hard to read that. And I fear that when this book is shrunk to thumbnail size, like on an Amazon mobile app or something like that, it's just going to be, that will really wash out quite a bit, and only the word people will really show up. Also, these stylized graphics, text treatments or fonts kind of harkens back to, I guess, the early 60s or something like that, or early 70s. It's cute. It's a nice design element, but again, I wonder, will that really be visible once it's reduced to a tiny thumbnail size? The back here, it's all, the description's kind of long. There's a lot of text they're trying to squeeze in there, but the bio is shorter. And then there's also some other little elements that are squeezed in there. And I think there's really just too much stuff back here. And this is printed by a major label imprint, by the way. So that's kind of a little bit concerning. However, this book just has a knockout title. Like, I Love Yous Are for White People. It just says so much right there. It hints at something very, very deep and very important to this author. It makes you want to read more. Like, you want to understand why this was chosen as the title and what's the story behind that. This, by comparison, 1,000 Layers of Water and Clouds, it doesn't really mean anything to anybody when they're just looking at it like that. The subtitle gives a hint about what's going on, A Tale of a Taiwanese Daughter, so it's a memoir. but what does this mean? And when you read the book, you'll figure out what it means. But it's really, you're losing out a lot of people right there who, when they look at a title of a book, they just kind of want to understand what they're getting into. And this doesn't really say much at all. This author, she had, an incredibly difficult childhood. And I'm just wondering if there was some other title that could have communicated that a bit better, either in the title or in the subtitle, but it's just not here. So that's kind of an unfortunate thing for this particular book, which is otherwise a fantastic book. I urge you to read both of these books, 1,000 Layers of Water and Clouds. I Love User for White People. I purchased this one on Amazon within the past 6 months. This one, I think I got on Amazon a long time ago. It should probably still be there because it's a major label imprint and there's likely lots of copies floating around, either new or used. Both are excellent, but as I've just described, there's some pros and cons in terms of the design and the title choices. This is Ian from Lean Media. There's more information about me. You can also leave comments if you have any ideas or suggestions, or you want to give your feedback about what you think about these covers and these titles as well. Thank you so much for watching.